Good morning. This virtual confirmation hearing conducted by the Committee on Economic Development, Agriculture, Maritime Transportation, Power, and Energy Utilities and Emergency Response is now called to order at 9 a.m. Notice of the hearing was disseminated via email to all local media outlets on October 14th of 2020, with the second notice provided on October 19th of 2020. Notice of the hearing was also made known on the Guam Legislature's website. This morning, the committee will hear testimony on the appointment of Mrs. Dorothy Perez Harris, who was appointed by Imagahagan Guahan as a member of the Port Authority of Guam Board of Directors to serve a term of 3 years from July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2023, and to fill the seat of Maria Taitano, whose term has expired. Before we begin, I would like to provide the panel of participants with some general rules of conduct for this virtual confirmation hearing. All participants must abide by rules of conduct and quality assurance standards. You must broadcast from a quiet room with little to no interruptions. You must broadcast from a room with adequate lighting, specifically to ensure that your face is visible and not backlit, and your face is visible at all times when speaking. Virtual backgrounds are prohibited during the public hearing. Please ensure you are unmuted and that you are speaking clearly into your microphone. The chair will invite individuals who have signed up to testify. Individuals testifying shall first be recognized by the chair before speaking and shall state their name, title, and organization for recording purposes. For group settings where more than one individual is present, please state your name before providing comment. We will begin with the panel of senators who shall complete their lines of questioning for each respective item on the agenda. Each member will be allowed to pose one question to an individual testifying for one round and be provided another round if necessary. Questions and testimony shall be confined to the substance or nature of the agenda. Personal inference as to the character or motive of any senator or any individual testifying is not permitted. Any violations of this rule of conduct will result in removal from the meeting room by the host. Now, first, I would like to recognize my colleagues who are joining me today. I believe I am joined by one other colleague, Senator Tello Taitagui. Thank you for joining us this morning, Senator. And now we will begin with calling those here to testify in order of how they signed in on the sign-in sheet. Unless the, no, I think this is what I'll do. I'll go in the sign-in sheet and then allow the nominee to speak last. So we'll begin first with Mr. Joseph Bradley. Please unmute your microphone before you testify.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Senator Taitagui. My name is Joe Bradley. I am testifying on my own behalf this morning. I guess the best place to start is to say that I've known Ms. Harris since July of 1984. She was a planner within the Economic Development Planning Division of the Guam Department of Commerce, and in July of that year, I became chief economist for the Guam Department of Commerce. My experience with her has been manifold during the 8 years that I worked with the department. She's always impressed me as being very competent, reliable, and she has always been quite honest as well. That's something that I couldn't say for everyone I've worked with over the years. She's shown a great deal of integrity. Whenever I've encountered her in a situation where she's had to make a decision, she has considered the decision carefully and has made that decision. When new information becomes available, she's willing to modify that decision. And in my mind, that speaks to integrity. She's just that kind of person. I've always known her to be. She was involved in a lot of the strategic planning for the government of Guam and interfaces with the U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration. She performed oversight, application and oversight for grant funding from the EDA, and I don't know of any issues that they ever encountered with her work. I've certainly never encountered any issues at all with her work. I left the Department of Commerce in 1992, and so the appointee and I have kind of fallen out of touch for several years. We encountered one another from time to time. It's always a pleasant encounter. About a year ago, she and I met for lunch, and that was a time at which we really resumed a friendship that we developed 3 decades ago. I think that, at that time, I was interested in what she had been doing with her time. She had been chief planner for the Port Authority of Guam for a long time. After the Department of Commerce was disbanded in the early 2000s, she first went to the Bureau of Statistics and Plans as chief planner, and then she transferred to the Port Authority at that time. During her time at the Port Authority, looking at their minutes from time to time over the years, she seems to appear in all of the minutes of all of their meetings, and she was the Port Authority Board relied upon her input and was grateful for it. I suppose the last thing that I have to say is that Ms. Harris has shown a very strong dedication to public service over the years. She was with the government of Guam for over 35 years. And although she retired a few years ago, not very many years ago, she has still maintained an interest in public service. She has done what many retirees do not do, that she's kept abreast of the times and the situations in Guam and in the nation and around the world. She's exhibited a commendable amount of curiosity and testifying in favor of confirmation of her appointment.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Bradley. And we'll go on to the next person on the sign-in sheet is Francisco Santos, Chairman of the Port Authority of Guam Board of Directors. Mr. Santos, please unmute your microphone before testifying. Thank you. So, Mr. Santos, hello? Okay, it seems like he may be having
Here
some.
this morning to testify in favor for Ms. Dot Aris to serve as one of the board members for the Port Authority of Guam. I know Ms. Paris for many, many years. We worked together for many, many years. And I believe Ms. Dot Aris, with her experience and knowledge at the port, I humbly believe that working with her, we will continue to move the port forward because of her knowledge of the Port Authority of Guam. And I believe that working with her and my other board member, we will move the port forward. For there are many projects ahead, and we want to make sure that this project will continue and will be completed, that the port will become one of the best port here in the Pacific. So, Mr. Chairman and the members of your committee, I humbly ask that you find favor of Ms. Aris to approve and confirm her to serve as one of the board members for the Port Authority of Guam. And I believe that working with her, we will move the port forward for the growth and the progress of the Port Authority of Guam. Thank you so much. And please help and confirm Ms. Dot Harris to serve as one of the board member for the Port Authority of Guam. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Santos. Chairman Santos, thank you for your testimony. Now, next on the sheet will be, on the sign-in sheet is Mr. Roy Respicio, former Senator Roy Respicio, General Manager of the Port Authority of Guam.
Hi,
Please,
good
Go ahead.
morning, Mr. Chairman and Senator Taitigui. Thank you again, Chairperson Ridgell and members of this committee for providing the opportunity for us to provide the supportive testimony today on Governor Leon Guerrero's nomination of Ms. Dorothy Perez Harris to serve as a member of the Jose D. Leon Guerrero Commercial Port Board of Directors. As the Port's General Manager, I, along with Mr. Dominic G. Muña, Deputy General Manager for Operations and Maintenance, and Mr. Luis Arbaza, Deputy General Manager for Administration and Finance, are submitting this testimony in our official capacity. Please first allow us to thank Governor Leon Guerrero and Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio for their excellent appointment, demonstrating their deep commitment to the Port Authority of Guam. We would also like to thank you and members of the 35th Guam Legislature for confirming these appointees and look forward to a swift confirmation for Mrs. Harris. Mrs. Harris was the Chief Planner for the Port Authority. Her 30+ years of experience in planning and extensive knowledge of the government and federal regulations governing grants was a tremendous asset to the Port, and with the Port's planning division managed over $100 million in federal grants. She was also an integral part of the development and update of the Port's master plans for 2007 and 2013. And with the Port's 2020 master plan currently in development, her appointment to the Port's board is not only timely, but indeed necessary. Our board of directors, led by Chairperson Frank Santos, Vice Chairperson Nate Timinglo, and Board Secretary Isa Koki, have been instrumental in the Port's climb from a $103,000 net negative income in fiscal year 2018 to a net positive income of $3.5 million in FY19. Our board members are dynamic. Mr. Chairman, in Chairman Santos's case, he brings with him 44 years of experience in this industry. Vice Chairperson Timinglo is a strong leader and brings reason and balance with his human resources expertise. And we are also blessed that Board Secretary Koki is a CPA by profession, which provides financial guidance in addition to keeping her eye on the bottom line. Now, with the addition of Mrs. Harris and her background as the Port's most recent Chief Planner, will give us the policy support geared towards modernization improvements, sustainability projects, financial self-sufficiency, including meeting the needs of the military buildup, all while ensuring the health and safety of all Port employees. Again, your favorable consideration and vote of confidence for Mrs. Harris will be a valuable addition to the Port Strong family. Si Dios masi.
Thank you, Mr. Respicio, for your testimony. Before we move on to the nominee, I'd actually like to allow the opportunity for my colleague, Senator Taitigui. Do you have any questions for this panel of people who have testified in favor of the nominee? All right, thank you. Next, we'll move on now to the nominee, Mrs. Dorothy Perez Harris. Please proceed, and please don't forget to unmute your microphone before you begin. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Senator Taitigui. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to appear before the committee for the purpose of my confirmation as a member of the board, as a member of the Port Authority of Guam's Board of Directors. I'd also like to thank Imagahaga, Leon Guerrero, Zane Segunda Magalahi, Josh Tenorio for their appointment. I'm both honored and extremely humbled by their support. It's been 3 years since my retirement from the Port as Chief Planner of the Strategic Planning Division. And it would be a great honor to again be able to serve both the Port and the territory as a member of the Port Strong family. In preparation for this hearing, I revisited Title 12, Guam Code Annotated, Chapter 10, Section 10103, on the duties of the PAG Board of Directors, which includes the preparation of an annual status report of financial records and accounts maintained by the authority. And upon review of the FY 2019, fiscal year 2019 audit report, PAG closed
All
the
right,
fiscal year
Mrs.
with.
Harris, there's something you have that is rubbing up against the microphone, probably on your laptop. And if you could just try to see what's maybe some papers or something, that way we can get some clear sound from you. We just want to make sure that the sound coming from you is clear.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you pointing that out. I think I'll solve the problem now. Okay, thank you. Okay. In preparation for this hearing, I revisited Title 12, Guam Code Annotated, Chapter 10, Section 1013. And then let me move. Did you hear that part clearly? Okay. Okay, so I'll go back. Upon review of the fiscal year 2019 audit report, PAG closed the fiscal year with an increase in net position of $3.5 million compared to a $103,000 loss in FY 2018. PAG regained its low-risk oddity status after it lost its designation in FY 2017 due to a late report submission to the Federal Clearinghouse. Operating expenses actually decreased by 4.7%, or $2.4 million, from $50.7 million in FY 2018 to $48.4 million in FY 2019. The decrease in operating expenses was accomplished despite PAG absorbing $2 million in the middle of the fiscal year for unbudgeted payroll requirements, as well as booking $3.1 million in contingent liabilities. PAG's operating revenues increased by 2%, or $1.1 million, from $54.2 million in FY 2018 to $55.3 million in FY 2019. Through my continued contacts with my former colleagues, they noted that under the current leadership, there has been a marked increase in morale at the port. This, I believe, is best reflected in the fact that vessel turnaround times have decreased from 36 hours to 18 hours, with productivity levels increasing from 18 moves per hour to 36 moves per hour for domestic vessels, and foreign vessels from 11 moves per hour to 18 moves per hour. And it should be noted that the faster port employees who complete a vessel operation, the savings are reflected not only for the port, but also for the shipping agents, and then again to the community at large. In discussing the above points, I want to illustrate both that I have been preparing for this position, and that once a member of the port family, one is always a member of the port family. I'm very proud of the outstanding accomplishments that former Senator and now General Manager Rory Vespicio, his management team, and staff have been able to achieve in such a short period of time. I have every confidence that this team will take the port even further along this positive track, and I hope to look forward to joining them once again and be part of their successes. I am humbled to serve alongside Chairman Mr. Francisco Santos, who brings a tremendous amount of institutional knowledge of the port, Mr. Nathan Taimalo, who brings a wealth of human resources knowledge, and Ms. Isa Koki, who brings knowledge and expertise in finance or the board of directors. Joining this dynamic team, I hope to be able to provide guidance to management on the policy support of the port's modernization improvements to meet the expectations of our community and military partners. I also wish to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all those who provided testimony in support of my appointment. And another family I wish to acknowledge are my 5 children: Anthony, Jamie, Christine, Josita, Derry, and their spouses and children, for all their love and support. I care for them more than words can express. With that, Mr. Chairman, Senator Taitui, and I again extend my sincerest and sindangkunun nasizukusmaasi for allowing me to appear before you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Harris. I'd also like to recognize Senator Sabina Perez, who has joined us as well. And Now open it up to my colleagues, beginning with Senator Titlegy. If you have any questions for the nominee or anyone on the panel.
And thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity to give some remarks, and Dorothy, I wanted to make sure I was here today to give you support as well, to show you, I've known you for many years, and we go back, and I think if people don't understand, she has some music in her. That's our connection here. If I'm not mistaken, Dorothy wrote the alma mater for Notre Dame, just FYI, along with another person. So she definitely, we share the love of music together. That's something we share. And I think her compassion as well for being at the port is also commendable, and wanting to go out of retirement to come back to something. I mean, the port is a huge project and responsibility, most especially to the people of Guam. I mean, this is our lifeline, really. And for you to come back with your experience, I can't think of a better person to do that than yourself, with all your knowledge of the port. Having the chairman, Mr. Santos, there to testify and calling you Dot, you can tell that you guys are good friends, and I'm sure you guys can work very well together. I wish you the very best, Dot, and thank you so much for stepping up to the plate and serving the people of Guam and coming out of retirement to do so. So greatly appreciate it, and to your 5 children. I hope they're into music as well. You've taught them music, so keep that up. Okay. Good luck to you, and my very best to you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Senator Titlegy. Senator Sabina Perez, any questions for the nominee or the panel members? And the panel members included Mr. Joe Bradley, General Manager Roy Respicio of the port, and Chairman Francisco Santos of the port board.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, everyone. Good morning to Ms. Harris. Yeah, this is my first time meeting you, so I just have some questions regarding. I looked over your resume, and it was very solid, and I know you have a lot of experience, working as planner for up until 2017. So I know that you have a lot of institutional knowledge, and especially during the times when the port was being modernized. I mean, these are very critical times, and I know the amount of work that you must have gone through just looking at your resume. Yeah, but being oversight chair of the environment, I just have some questions regarding, some of the projects that you have handled through that a very critical era, and what were some of the challenges, and I guess your role in that as planner. If you can just kind of expound upon that a little bit more.
Well, one of the first major plans, I couldn't put it on my resume because this is security sensitive information, because it asked for plans or presentations made available to the public. But when I first came on board, Congress had adopted the Maritime Transportation Security Act, and it required us as a port to evaluate and assess our vulnerabilities, our risks, and our threats, and to put forth a plan of action to ensure that we provided we provided safeguards to ensure that the port would detour against potential threats to our most valuable piece of infrastructure for the island of Guam. So that was one of the first things that I did. We had to do 3 separate plans for 3 different facilities. And we were, I believe, one of the first ports in the country to comply with the requirements. As you know, the Port of Guam is a federally, falls under the purview, is a fairly regulated instrumentality, and falls under the regulation of the U.S. Coast Guard. So in order for us to perform our duties, we have to comply with certain requirements. And so we've been able to do that. And we were one of the first in the country to comply, the Port Authority of Guam, with the requirements of the Maritime Transportation Security Act. And that was one of the first things that I did when I got here.
Okay, great. And then, I've been looking through some of the project. There was one, the pipeline project, that I was interested in looking at as far as the environmental impacts. I got to meet with, the general manager and some of the staff there, and they were very, very kind enough to share with me information. So, yeah, I noticed that, some environmental assessments, they had findings of no significant impact. And, what were the if you can recall any of those projects, what constituted that as a finding of no significant impact?
Well, that project actually came, I apologize, Senator. That project requirement, but I do know that that for any federal expenditure for capital improvement projects, there is a requirement for environmental review, and in some cases it could be either an environmental assessment. But I think in this case, did they require a full-blown environmental impact assessment? I think they required because of the magnitude and because of the location to, of course, to submerged areas. So I have not familiarized myself with that project, but I do know that that would be a requirement, and that component would need to be satisfied prior to moving forward for the federal agency to allow us to expend any further funds for capital improvements. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, yeah, I know this is, yeah, thank you. I appreciate your
Okay.
honest and genuine assessment and approach to it. I see that you're very systematic in your approach, and willing to comply, or have shown that you've demonstrated compliance to any kind of regulation. So, but I'm looking forward to ensuring that that is the case. And if there's any kind of environmental issues that might pop up, I'm looking, I hope that, we can look at that closely. But I do appreciate you stepping up to the plate. And I was reading through some of the testimonies, and you were a graduate of Notre Dame. And did you also teach there as well? Okay, that was really nice to see that testimony as well, that you're still keeping busy even after you're during retirement, and you're willing to come back and serve the public. So again, thank you for your acceptance of this nomination, and thank you for answering my questions. And I wish you all the best. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Paris. All right, Mrs. Harris, I have a few questions for you. Beginning first, if you could describe to me what you see as your role if confirmed to be a member of the Board of Directors. How do you see your role? What is your role?
Well, I have extensive background in policy development, and I have served, I have represented the territory in national, international, and regional fora, and I can bring that to the Port Authority. I have also, through my employment here, know what the day-to-day challenges are, and I think that would help. And I think that would help to bring a different perspective to the body. It's important that they have someone sitting there at the table who understands what it's like to actually work here. And I think that primarily, in addition to my background, I think providing that link between having served in a capacity as an employee of the port is really important, needs to be represented at that table.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
When you hear people talking about the port, what images or issues first come to your mind?
Well, now actually, I'm still very proud of the port. I think, as I said, I still feel like I'm a part of the port family. And the images that I see are actually very positive. And when I retired, I miss them. And so I'm very happy with this opportunity to be able to join the family again.
Speaking of which, you spent a number of years at the port as its chief planner. So tell us how you think that experience, how you'll be able to put that experience to use on the board.
Well, as Senator Harris noted, there are a number of compliances in certain areas. She pointed out the environmental aspects, but there are other statutory requirements, especially in the field of federal funding, that I have a background in. And if I don't know if I feel that something is amiss in the guidance that we get, it's not just, dealing with the federal agency is two-way street. They have to be upfront with us too. And so I think that with my experience in dealing with federal agencies, I will know the questions to ask. If I feel like there's something that we should know. So I can pose those questions on behalf of the port to ensure that we have, full knowledge and that we're moving, in the same direction.
Are there any specific areas of interest you think you would focus on as a board member?
I believe primarily capital improvement projects.
That kind of goes along with the planning background as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are there any items of discussion that may come before the port board where you would have to recuse yourself due to any conflicts of interest?
No, sir. I don't own any businesses, and I don't have any relatives employed. If an issue should come up, I would definitely do that, recuse myself if I perceive a conflict of interest, and I'll make it known to the board that one exists.
Okay, great. And last question from me is, what is your vision of the port and its future? How do you envision the port going forward?
I see the port being the best port in the Pacific.
Right.
I see it being the most productive. Yes, that's my vision for the port. Number one, it already is. I want to see it go further.
Okay. Thank you very much. Unless my colleagues have any other questions of anyone else. Senator Titagui?
I just wanted to make it known that my son went to ND. That's all.
Cool. And while we're on the subject, my younger brother is a graduate from ND too. I think he was one of the first, if not the first, I know he's one of the first graduating classes when they started allowing boys at ND. So, so now I can tell him I met the person who came up with your alma mater song. Right? Cool. All right. With that, that just about wraps up this hearing. The committee will continue to accept written statements on today's hearing within 10 business days from today, which may be mailed to my office at 238 Archbishop Flores Street, Suite 906 at the DNA building in Hagåtña. You may also send your statements to us at sen.cridgell@teleguam.net. That's sen.cridgell@teleguam.net. Or you can send it by fax to 475-4768. Thank you all for your participation. This virtual confirmation hearing is now adjourned. It is 9:34 a.m. Thank you everyone for your participation this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.